Welcome, everyone, to the December 2014 Transportation Librarians Roundtable. On behalf of myself, Amanda Wilson from the National Transportation Library, and Bob Cullen from the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, we are happy to have you here for our last TLR of 2014. Before we begin the presentation, just a few logistical matters. First, for those of you who are on the phone, please press the speaker icon in the middle of the menu bar at the top of your screen. This will mute your computer speakers and reduce any echo or feedback we'll get in the audio. If you want to ask a question, please press *6 on your keypad to mute and unmute your line. Second, this session is being recorded. You'll see a red dot at the top of the screen. We will post it along with a slide presentation and supplementary handout to the Transportation Librarians Roundtable website in the upcoming weeks. For now, you can go ahead and download the presentation and the PDF file of the checklist from the left-hand supplementary materials box you'll see just above the chat. To download, highlight the name and then click the Download Files button to download to your screen. We will be looking at the checklist handout, the first file listed during the presentation. It may be a little easier for you to look at on your own computer versus looking through the webinar. And lastly, feel free, as usual, to use the chat box to input your questions at any time during the presentation. Bob and I will both be monitoring the chat, and we'll be sure that our speaker, Mary Moulton, gets them and addresses them. Now for today's presentation. As background, in the December 2013 TLR, National Transportation Library staff presented our new minimal cataloging standard, which we developed and are using to more efficiently process materials into our repository. Today, we are continuing the trend of reporting on a major initiative we've undertaken during the past year. Specifically, we're focusing on work we're doing to upgrade, stabilize, and enhance our digital repository platform. The requirements of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy's Public Access Plan memo, NTL's expanded legislative mandate in MAP 21, and developments in the repository field have all come together to create a perfect storm of momentum for us to be considering upgrading our repository platform. A critically important component to a sustainable digital archive, which is dedicated to long-term preservation, like ours is demonstration of trustworthiness. Mary Moulton, NTL's digital librarian and our speaker today, will discuss her work researching and gaining expertise in trusted repository certification. This webinar, we hope, will lay a foundation as well as establish a common language and understanding on what it means to be a, quote, trusted digital repository. As I mentioned previously, Mary Moulton is our speaker. Mary has a BS in plant science and a master's in entomology, as well as an MLIS from the University of Rhode Island. Her experience ranges from serving as a chemical sciences librarian at Binghamton, Ohio State, and Lehigh Universities to roles as information architect at Air Products and Chemicals and Merck. Finally, to being NTL's digital librarian, which she started in this role in 2011. Her main and primary responsibilities are to lead the development and enhancement of digital repository services here, as well as information organization, digital curation, and tools that facilitate discovery and use of our resources. With that, Mary, welcome.
Oh, thanks, Amanda, and thanks, Bob. Hello, everybody. I'm really happy to be able to present on this topic today. I've spent quite a bit of the past year researching trusted repository certification, and Amanda did a really nice job of setting the stage here with the initiatives that we are responding to, the mandates that we are responding to. But we are not the only federal library that is grappling with the issue of a trusted repository right now. And this conversation began earlier this year with the librarians in the CENDI group that we interact with. And CENDI is an organization of the managers of science and technical federal libraries. We meet every other month and discuss and try to solve problems of common interest to all of us. And certainly the issues around trusted repositories and open access repositories are really right in front of a lot of the conversations we're having these days. So I embarked on a research project with Gail Hodge from Information International Associates. We looked into all of the different methods for certifying repositories that are out there and some new initiatives that are coming along. And as I get to the end of the presentation, I'll talk about where I think we might be headed or where we want to be. So that's just, I wanted to let you know how this presentation came about. Let's see. So to start with, I'd like to give you a definition of a trusted digital repository. And this comes from the Research Library Group's 2002 report, which is called Trusted Digital Repositories, Attributes and Responsibilities. Their definition is a trusted digital repository is one whose mission is to provide reliable, long-term access to managed digital resources to its designated community now and in the future. The next definition that's important is the definition for an OAIS. An OAIS is an open archival information system. It's an archive consisting of an organization which may be part of a larger organization of people and systems that has accepted the responsibility to preserve information and make it available for a designated community. This comes from the CCSDS reference model for an open archival information system, their report. A trusted digital repository is built on an OAIS. So that's what the relationship is between the two. And so you have to have the one in order to have the other. The other thing that's very interesting to note about an open archival information system is that the preservation of digital objects is not, the goal is not necessarily to provide permanent future access or access to those objects forever, but it is to preserve them. So there's an implication there that the responsibility for maintaining the archive can be transferred to another entity. So there's, I want you to understand the relationship between the two. And again, the Trusted Digital Repository is built upon the OAIS. In doing my research, I read a lot of very interesting books and articles about efforts that have gone on over the past many years involving digital preservation. The National Archives, of course, has had several different names. They've been around for quite a while. Related to what we're interested in 1968, the National Archives and Records Services Division established the Electronic Records Program. And there are a lot of really interesting things about this. First of all, for those of us who are of a certain age, we know there were some very important social and technical things going on in the late 60s, one of them being the Vietnam War, which produced a lot of information that was available in what we would consider electronic records. And likewise, the Apollo space program was in full swing, and in 1969, of course, a mission landed on the moon. So there were very significant things that happened around this time, and it's also interesting to note that the National Archives considered physical media to be electronic records, and those would be things like punch cards or electronic tapes, discs, those kinds of things. It was a different world than the one that we live in now, but anyway, this is where it all started pretty much. So then in 1975, they issued the Catalog of Machine-Readable Records in the National Archives of the United States. And I would also like to point out that around this